Iconic, The Economy of Certainty, An Introduction to the Typology of Islamic Legal Theory by Aron Zysow, Harvard University, 1984, Cambridge, Massachusetts. Number 2. Inner Discontinuity. The Quran and the Mutawatir and Mashhur traditions form a body of certain or nearly certain materials against which the presumed validity of a unit tradition, musnad or mursal, can be tested. A unit tradition, the ahad, khabar al-ahad, one that has one chain of one reporter in the chain of transmission, which is inconsistent with these, is rejected. The ahad which is inconsistent with these is rejected. And that constitutes inconsistency being a question of hermeneutics or interpretation. But apart from these certain material sources, the Hanafis also measured the presumed validity of a tradition against rational canons. Thus, a unit tradition which regulates a matter of general concern or a matter which was in dispute among the companions will also be rejected. In such cases, only mutawatir and mashhur traditions are acceptable. Reason and experience dictate that traditions in these areas be of wide circulation. It is in rejecting traditions which fail to meet the second series of standards that the Hanafis diverge most markedly from other legal schools. The doctrine of the major legal schools, the Hanafis, the Shafi'is, the Malikis, recognizes the unit tradition as of only prima facie validity, and will thus reject a unit tradition when it conflicts with sources of certain validity. What is recognized as a conflict may, of course, and in fact does differ among the schools. When it comes to the extension of these sources of analogy, significant differences emerge. The Shafi'is prefer a unit tradition to analogy and are thus diametrically opposed to the Malikis who prefer analogy. The Hanafi position that became standard makes a distinction between the traditions of the companions who were recognized jurists and those who were not. It is only the traditions of a jurist that are preferred to analogy. The Hanafi position does not rest, as one might suppose, on a general preference for analogy as against the unit tradition. For the Hanafis, the unit tradition is of greater validity than analogy. The word of the Prophet is known with certainty to be binding, and the doubt that attaches to a tradition arises from its mode of transmission. In analogy, on the other hand, the very construction of the analogy is fraught with uncertainty. When the tradition of a non-jurist is rejected, it is because there is now the additional doubt occasioned by the possibility of an inadequate transmission of the sense of the Prophet's statement. Transmission according to sense, al-naql bil-ma'na, apologies in Arabic, was formerly a widespread practice. One who lacks the proper legal aptitude might very well fail to transmit the Prophet's utterance in such a way as to convey its full sense. Yet even in the case of the non-jurist, his tradition is rejected only after it has proved to be incompatible with every possible analogy that is relevant. It is rejected, that is, only as a last resort. The Hanafis find support for their preference of the unit tradition to analogy and their rejection of the tradition of the non-jurist in the well-known practice of the early community. Stay tuned for many more parts.